Hello Guitar Heroes, and welcome to the first episode of Clone Hero Lessons. My name is Andrew, and the first lesson is going to be on taps and trills. Now for those of you who haven't gotten into tapping before, you're scared to take your hand off of the strum bar, the first thing you're going to want to work on is your posture. You want to have your guitar sitting in a place where you can very easily move your hand from down here on the strum bar up to the tapping, up to the frets up there, without messing yourself up. Now, as far as posture goes, you're going to want to have your guitar in a place that's it's very stable, and also that when you reach your hand up here, your elbow is right in the spot to strum the strum bar when you need to. So you just want to find the most efficient way of doing that. So anyways, getting into trills. Now trills are probably the easiest thing to get started tapping on. Trills, for those of you who don't know, are basically any time you're holding down, whenever you're holding down one note and you can just tap the other one. Now you can do this with one hand and just kind of twitch your hand in the correct way, and that can work in a lot of cases, maybe using your ring finger and your pinky finger. But when it starts to get too fast for you, then you start to have to take your hand off of the strum bar and tap to help out. Now there's 4 ways to tap on trills. The first way, which is probably the easiest way to get into, is to just one hand tapping. So you can hold down the blue note, say there's a trill of blue, orange, back and forth. Now the best way to do that, if you're just starting out, is to hold down the blue and then just reach up and just hit it as fast as you can, or as fast as the song needs you to. This is usually a good way of hitting them when trills kind of come out of nowhere, usually really short ones, but really quick ones that you can just take your hand off and go up and do it really fast. But then you get to trills where this gets too exhausting. You can't just do that forever. So the second way of tapping trills is to alternate tap. Now, say you're holding the blue key down with your ring finger. Now you can one-hand it, or you can take turns. You can take turns tapping the orange note with your right hand and your left pinky. Of course, you could do it with other fingers too. Honestly, the best way to do trills is to hold it down with your index finger and use your middle finger to tap. So you've got one-handed, and then you've got alternating, and then you've got two-finger tapping. Now this is my favorite way of doing really fast ones in a lot of ways, is when you hold down the blue, and then with your two fingers you just do that. You just take turns tapping. And then the even faster way, probably the fastest way anybody can really be efficient in tapping, is rake tapping. Now you might have seen this from like Asai or Randy, and what they do is they hold it down, and it's a mix between the two tapping and the alternating. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna move the microphone so hopefully that's not in the way. No, that's the wrong way. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that is the fastest way you can tap, but you're doing it in increments of 3, and a lot of trills are in 4/4 time or whatever, so you can get a little thrown off if you try to do it that way, which is why I try to just do the 2. Now let me show you what all of these tappings look like when you're doing these trills. Now this is from a Dragonforce medley, and at the very end of the 30-minute medley you've got this. So you got that trill, which you can one-hand, but then you've got this trill, so you can one-hand it, but you'll wear out, and so you'll miss a note. Then you can two-finger it. Like I said, that's my favorite way of doing it. And then you can alternate it. That way works pretty well too. That way is a lot more reliable in a lot of situations. I didn't quite get to the rig tapping in that run. So yeah, you can one-hand it, you can tap that one if you want to. So this is what rig tapping looks like when you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll slow it way down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can go one hand, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Alternating. Or rake. Now that's just one example of what a trill can look like. I mean, that's a pretty common one you'll run into, and yeah, like I said, trying to just twitch with one hand to do blue and orange with your ring and pinky finger can be pretty unreliable. So find a way to take your hand off of the strum bar, get up there, and just hit that orange button as fast as you can, in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Now, the next song we're going to get into is called Soulless. It's the first of the 4 Soulless songs. Now there's a pattern. There's a pattern in this song called hammer-on solo. Now when you look at this, I mean, it looks exactly like Through the Fire and Flames. So you would hold down the green, and then you would tap the red, and then let go of the red, so that it would go back to green. Then you would tap the yellow, and then let go of the yellow, so it would go back to green. Then you tap the blue, let go of the blue, so it goes back to green. And I mean, sometimes you can do this with one hand. In some cases, Through the Fire and Flames, I mean, you might be able to do that with one hand. I don't really like to do it with one hand. But when you want to tap something like this, so you're going to hold down the green with your fretting index finger, and then use your middle finger to hit the red anytime it comes up. Now some people will also hit the yellow with their ring finger, but I prefer to do the last 3 with these 3 fingers. So you got your index finger for the green button, the middle finger for the red, and then your middle, ring, and pinky of your other hand doing these 3. Now what it looks like, let's see if I can slow it way down. So whatever one of your fingers is assigned to that button, just tap it. And when you tap it, make sure you don't hold it down too long, because if you do that, you won't be able to let go of it. You won't be able to let go of the button so that it can go back to green. Now that's a pretty common pattern you'll see quite a bit too. But then, after that, you've got another that it's backwards. So then you've got the one after that that's backwards. And now you'll see this, and you'll think, how am I supposed to do that? You can't just hold down the orange button and then tap the other ones. It only goes one way. So really the way you're supposed to do this one's almost impossible to one hand in most cases. So what you have to do is just continue and use your strumming hand to just completely hit orange as fast as you can, whether it's the one-handed tapping or the alternating tapping or the 2-finger tapping. You won't be able to use alternating tapping with this one because your left hand's going to be busy with the green, red, yellow, blue. So when it comes to this, you'll strum with your elbow. Now when it's slowed down to this speed, it's pretty easy to like separate the notes, and you can kind of tell what you're doing going blue, orange, yellow, orange, red, orange, green, orange, and so on. And but when you see this at full speed, so all you have to do with your right hand is to keep tapping the orange, and then with your left hand you're just moving it up and down the fretboard. And you don't even have to tap the other notes. You're literally just moving your bass note around while you're tapping the orange one. So that's another case where just one hand tapping it is usually okay. I mean, maybe you could two-finger tap it, but there's no way that you could alternate tap that one. So the next song we're going to do is called Soulless 3. Now, Soulless 3 has a pattern that's called trilled up, and it looks like this. Now, this is an example of a pattern that is almost required to alternate tap. Now you'll be holding down the green button for this, and you can't just one hand go blue, blue, yellow, yellow, blue, blue, yellow, yellow. That will just, I mean, with one hand, that's just too much to do, even if you're doing two tapping. So going up and down like that just wouldn't work. So the best way, especially since these are in increments of 2, is to alternate between your left and your right hand. So you'll hold down the green, and then with one hand you'll go blue, and then with your left hand blue again, and then right hand yellow, left hand yellow, right hand blue, left hand blue. I mean, you see what I'm getting at here with so you're just taking turns with both of your hands on doing the taps. Now the best way to stay in rhythm with this one is to make sure that your right hand or your strumming hand is always on the downbeat, and that your fretting hand is always on the upbeat. So the first one of those blues will always be with my right hand, and the second one will be with my left hand. And in that case, when you get to this part where it goes blue, yellow, red, yellow, blue, now that part can seem pretty weird, but all you're doing, so your middle finger is just, or your left hand is just staying on the yellow button, and your right hand is going blue, and then left hand yellow, and right hand red, and then, yeah, I messed it up, but you know what I'm talking about. And so, one example that you've probably seen if you've played the Dragonforce songs is on Cry for Eternity. Cry for Eternity by Dragonforce has a section called Eternal Solo A. Now this is too fast. I mean, there are very few people who can actually hit this perfectly. So you're going to, well, assuming you could hit this, the best way to do this is either alternate tapping, or you could even do the two-finger tapping on this one if you really thought you could do it. So that's an example. I mean, if you ever have trouble with sections, just slow them down. I know you probably hear that all the time. But this is what it looks like when you alternate tap. You just, each color that comes up, you do one with each hand, and then you move to the next color. You just have to worry about figuring out where to put your fingers when you're tapping. I mean, it takes a while to get used to, but... Okay, so The final song I'm going to do is called Victory Solo X. Victory Solo X has a section in it called Buckethead Fun. And Buckethead Fun... Now, at first, this looks just like the pattern from Soulless. How you hold down the green, and then you just take turns between splitting up the notes between your two hands. But the reason this one is more complicated is that your bass note moves from green to red. So watch this. I don't know why I just one-handed that. So you're going to have to move your index finger from the green to the red notes as it switches. We'll slow this one down. So this one is technically alternate tapping. But you have to learn to move your bass point between the green and the red. So that's something that can be kind of complicated. Actually, there's one more song that's, I think, really shows some good trills. Let's see if... So again, the bass point is moving all over the place. So this comes from the song called Patterns. Actually, this is Patterns minus. It's an underchart because there's just a lot of difficult stuff in the Patterns songs. But yeah, if you were to one-hand this, you can definitely lose your spot. It can get too fast for one-handed. But since you're only doing 2 trills with each different changing thing, I mean, whatever works for you. I prefer to do the one-handed trills for this one. Let's just get 100% already. There we go. And that's all for the lesson of tapping and trills. I think I've got a few ideas for lesson plans I'm going to do in the future, and I've never actually had like a YouTube channel, so I have no idea what my uploading schedule is going to be like yet. Probably about 1 a week, but if you guys have any suggestions for certain patterns or certain songs you want me to go over, I'll try and explain them the best I can. So thanks for watching.